Hey guys, welcome back to CheatSheetPros.com. Today's Monday, April 21st. Ironically, Mondays are one of my busiest days at work, but I found time to do a video today, so let's take a look at some MLB stuff. Now, if you follow us on our Facebook group, if you're a member, or you're looking at the sports picks on the website or Twitter, you'll see that I had posted this a few minutes ago, and so these are just a couple bankroll builders that I put together. I always like to find something that's fairly safe and get it to plus money. And I'll go ahead and run through these with you real quick. So NBA, I took both teams in the Knicks game over 100.5 points. Malik, 10 points. Tobias, 12 points. And then over here on the other game with the Clippers, it's kind of tricky. But I did Harden, Kawhi, 15 each. That should be a no-brainer. Jokic, 20. Jamal Murray, 12. And then the Clippers, plus 16.5. It should be a close game. Money's going to the Clippers. And it should be back and forth, so that should be a no-brainer. Putting those together, we get that to plus 180. Also, if there's a boost or risk-free parlay, you can use it for that. On the MLB one, I did the alternate over 204.5, so 205 points in the Knicks game. I like that one. That cruised over last time. So that does have an NBA play in it. And then over here, it's hard to read, but Aaron Nola, 3+ hits. Hunter Brown to go 6 innings. Fetty, 1 walk, and then in this game with Robbie Ray and Quinn Priester, 1 walk each, and that got up to plus 170, so we will take a look at those plays as we go on. Let me go ahead and close that. So as always, when I'm looking at sports betting picks, I'm going to come over here and look at this betting board first. I'm going to earmark some games, and then we're going to go over here to the main tab, and we're going to kind of flip through them, so I'm going to take a look at a few that I found today. Also, I have some new stuff on the scorecard. I'm going to bring in a section here for the props market and show the odds for a hit, a run, an RBI, and a stolen base so you can sort and see who's hot and then see what their props are for the day. And I'm adding one other thing, but I can't remember what it was, so we'll see it tomorrow. And since my last video, I've added in the Vegas ATS trends for run line and totals, which I'm sure you've seen that already. But let's just go ahead and flip through. I think there's 8 games today. And let me make sure you can see the majority of this. So over here, flipping down, I'm looking at your power ranking and then the bullpen, just trying to get an idea to look at this last 10 and home run record to see if there's a game I want to look at further. So just scrolling down through here, the first one that jumps out is the Padres and Detroit. You can see here the Padres have been really good. They're number 3 in our power rankings. They have the number 1 bullpen. They're 7-3 over the last 10. However, they are 4-5 on the road, which isn't a huge deal for me. So that's the game I want to take a look at. Detroit has been really good, but for some reason I just have a sour taste in my mouth with them. And then when we come over here and look at the pitching matchup, both pitchers have an earned run prop of 2.5 and K prop of 3.5. Padres have the better bullpen. And then looking at the underlying stats, we have an ERA and XFIP that's kind of flip-flop. So it's back and forth. So I want to look at their last starts. You can see here Vasquez went 5 innings, 1 run, but he did give up 7 hits against a red-hot Cubs team. Prior to that, he did 5 innings and 1 hit versus Oakland. And then Montero's only got 1 start, and it looks like it was very bad. 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, but he did have 8 Ks. So that's someone that we want to take a look at and kind of see what happened in that game. So the Padres are the first game that we're going to look at. Someone had asked about the power play. That's just a large difference in the power ranking. So if it's more than, I can't remember exactly, but like 15 spots, then it's going to come up as a power play. So that's something to take a look at. So just a team that's rated much higher. And then we come down here. The other game I'm going to look at is this Philadelphia Mets game. Now, when I was drinking my coffee this morning, I was like, oh, I really like Philadelphia and Aaron Nolan. But when I got the sheet opened up, I kind of flipped and went the other way. So just looking at this, I mean, look at this. We have Philadelphia ranks 25th versus the Mets 6th. And look at this bullpen difference, 30th versus 3rd. That's a drastic difference. So that right there should jump out at you as something that you want to look at. And then the home road split, the Mets are at home. They are the better ranked team in our power rankings, and they're 9-1 at home. That should jump out at you. And then Vegas, 3.9 to 4.1. That tells you this is probably a minus 110 to minus 120, maybe 130 game. So it's got a favorable line. And then over here looking at the 2 pitchers. Now, Nola, I think I looked today, he's lost 4 games in a row. They both have an earned run prop, but here our difference is our hits per innings pitched is a key stat to look at. And 1.25 isn't great, but it's not terrible. 0.98 is really good anytime you get a pitcher under 1. The ERAs you can see are drastically different, but the xFIP's pretty close, and then there's a slight favor to McGill on his whip. And then looking here at the quick look, you can see earned runs allowed. Nola's allowed 6, 2, 3, and 5 in his 4 starts. He's 0-4. And then McGill's allowed 2, 0, 0, 1. So that's something that we do want to take a look at, and we're going to look at that on the next sheet. Flipping down through here, we're going to look at the St. Louis game as well. Atlanta is someone that I was considering, but I didn't dig into it a lot. And then we're going to look at this Toronto-Houston game. This game, I kind of like a no-run first inning, but we'll take a look at it. So let's flip over here and look at our games. Now we come over here to the main tab, and everybody always asks me, how do you change it? As always, in the home team, when you click it, this caret comes up, and then you can find all of the home teams, and you can kind of flip down through here. So this first game we're going to look at are Padres and Detroit. And these are games I'm going to try to write up later, but if I don't make it... So, sorry, I got a text message. So, Padres and Detroit. So, we can see here the Padres, they've dropped a couple of games, but they've had some tough matchups. Facing Houston on the road was tough, and they lost by 2, lost by 1, won by 1. So, I'm going to say, hey, those were close games. And then over here, we have the Cubs. They lost by 1, won by 2. You know, they're decent. Power ranking is what I really want to look at. They still rank 6th. And then they're batting, they have the 3rd highest batting average, the 3rd lowest strikeout rate, they're 5th in WRC plus, and 9th in ISO power. So the Padres are a good freaking team. So we like that. Then we look over here at their bullpen. 1.46 ERA, 3.09 xFIP. Fantastic. Nothing to worry about with the bullpen. Starting pitcher, 5 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 1 run. Okay, I can handle that. And then we come over here and we look at Detroit. Yeah, they've won 3 of 4, but I live in Kansas City, so I'm a Chiefs and a Royals fan. Kansas City's sucking right now outside of Bobby Witt. They're not doing anything, and the bullpen's terrible. So a 3-1 win's not very impressive. A 3-4 loss is not very anything. And then these two, it is what it is. When they did play Milwaukee, who's a solid team, they lost 5-1 and 5-0 in the last 2 games in that series. Another 5-1. They did manage to win one. But in our power ranking, they rank 24th. They're only 19th in batting average. They have the 28th highest K rate. WRC plus is below 100. That should jump out at you. That ranks 24th. ISO power 112. That ranks 25th, so that's not real good. So just looking at like your ISO power, we have 9th versus 25th. Any other stats you want to look at are perfectly fine, but I'm going to lean Padres in this game. This is one that does jump out at me. Then we can come down here and we can look at the lineups. Now, if you don't like stats, just look at WRC+. That's the easiest one that I always point out. But ISO power is a good key on how they're doing versus pitcher hands. So if the pitcher's average, just look at the ISO power, where Tatis has a 455. That's monstrous. And then the 089 is not very good, but Arise, he's never a big power guy. He's just a base hit slapper. And then we got Mikado, we got Gavin Sheets. We got Xander Bogaerts, who's doing well. Bottom of the lineup, not very impressive, but, whatever. Looking at the top 6 hitters, look at these averages over the last 2 weeks. 349, 313, 295, 290, 286, 293. That's phenomenal for your top 6. And then I'm going to glance here at batter versus pitcher. So this is kind of tough because you really don't usually get a lot of data. So there's not enough data here for me, but Arias 3 for 7 against the pitcher he's facing. That's decent. No one else really has any data. And then we come down here and we look at Detroit, and you see a lot of cold hitters here. So their leadoff guys batting 154. Kerry Carpenter's batting 390, but really not putting up very many stats. Their 3-hole Riley Green is batting 128, 184, 182. The 2, 3, 4 guys have really good ISO power, so those are the guys I would look at for like DFS plays or props. But their leadoff guy, an 087, an 048, and an 082, and an 059. There's not a lot to scare me right now in the Detroit lineup. And if you're a fantasy person, just look right here in our fantasy box over their last 7 weeks or 7 games. Blue is cold, yellow is average, green is good, red is red hot. So you don't see a lot of red. Down here you see a lot of blue. That just tells you that they're a little cold. Then we're going to flip down here and we're going to look at the pitching matchup. So Montero, or however the heck you say his name, The one thing that jumps out first is bullpen. 14th versus first. 14th, these stats aren't terrible, so I'm not going to bash their bullpen, but Padres have a solid bullpen that ranks really well. So Montero, let's look at him. Now, we're going to look at the last year's stats first because this year he's only got one start. So overall, we can see he allowed a 258 average in 86 innings last year, so that's not great. He is at home. Home splits are okay, but this isn't really a pitcher I'm worried about splits. You can look at righty-lefty matchups if you want. In his one start, he had a 1.8 whip and a 348 average allowed. That's a little scary, so we're going to come down here to this box, and we're going to look at this start. So we see a start here, 5 innings. He did have 8 strikeouts, which is really good, but he gave up 8 hits, which gave him a hits per innings pitched of 1.6, and he gave up 5 runs and walked 1. So the Padres could kill him. I would not be shocked if they knock him out in the 4th inning. He's not someone I'm really worried about. So if the Padres get hot, they could run away with this game. Over here, Vasquez, he's more than average. If we look at his stats for last year, well, that's not really good. He's allowing a 301 average last year through 98 innings, so that's not as impressive as I was expecting. But this year, he's been doing a lot better. He's only allowed a 194 through 20.2 innings, so I guess last year he was pretty bad. And then this year, he's doing pretty good. He does have 20 innings under his belt and a solid bullpen behind him, so we do like that. When we come down here and we look at his individual stats, the opponent power rankings, look at this. He's faced the Cubs, and Atlanta. So our first, and third ranked power team. Oakland didn't pull through because of the damn ATH thing, which I will fix. But you can see he usually goes 5 innings, sometimes a little bit more, and he has had tough matchups. Low K-rate teams, high power rank. The Cubs have been red hot. So how did he do? So 7 hits, 1 run. I consider that fantastic against the Cubs team. 5 innings, 1 hitter, 1 run. Against Oakland, pretty good. Cubs again, 5.2 innings, only 2 hits, 2 runs. And then Atlanta, 4 hits, no runs. So in his 4 starts, he's averaged 1, 1, 2, and 0 runs. That's fantastic. He's not getting a lot of strikeouts, but I'm okay with that. We're not doing a K-prop. The one worry thing is his walks. So he's allowed 2, 3, 5, and 4. So 9 walks across his first 2 games, but then he lowered it to 3 and then to 2. So we have to see, is he getting better? But if he gets into trouble, they can pull him out of the game, go to the bullpen, and be just fine. So Padres, that's the first game we're going to take a look at that we like. The second game we're going to flip down here is going to be the New York Mets. Now, I said I flipped on this game once I looked into it. So here we can see Philadelphia 5-5 over the last 10. And then we got the New York Mets 7-3. They've won 4 straight. St. Louis sucks, so these aren't impressive wins. 3-0, 5-4, 4-1, 7-4 against the St. Louis team. They should win all 4 of those games. But the one thing that should jump out at you is right now here. Bullpen, Philadelphia 30th, ERA over 7, xFIP of 4.7, WHIP of 1.6, and almost 2 home runs per 9 allowed. That is horrible. So that bullpen, that tells me they're getting slaughtered. I don't care who's starting. They're going to kill that bullpen. So if that starting pitcher gets in trouble, they could give up some runs. Also in games like this, I like taking the team total alt over. So if, like, let's say there are 4 runs, take 3+ runs for the Mets and start mixing those together. Those are how I do a lot of bankroll builders. And you can see here 3.9, 4.1. So Vegas has this a fairly tight game. So Mets, I'm guessing they're probably minus 120. You can see our cheat sheet has a lean to Philadelphia, but I don't always agree with my model, and I'm going to go over why. So when we look at Nola and McGill, like we said earlier, I was leaning Nola. Like, Nola's a stud, but he has not been doing as well. His last start, 5.1 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs. Ouch. San Francisco got to him. His start before that, he did well, but it was against St. Louis. Who cares? McGill, he only gave up 2 runs, but he did give up 8 hits. That's a little worrisome, but again, I'm not going to separate these pitchers very much. And then his prior start, he didn't give up any runs, but he did give up 6 hits. So I'd say both of these pitchers are kind of in the same tier. And then when we look at the teams, we have 16th power ranking with 21st ISO power versus number 10 and 8th in ISO power. So, and the Mets are at home. The Mets are playing well. They have a higher power ranking. They have better ISO pitcher. They have a better bullpen. So here you can see their bullpen is 3rd, ERA under 3, xFIP just over 3, so that tells me the ERA is consistent with what they're actually doing. And then we come down here and we look at these. We can see, both teams are kind of so-so. Philadelphia's got some good stats on the board. As far as ISO, we have 7 guys over ISO pitcher hand average, 6 on this team. Both teams have some red, so both teams are decent. I'm not going to say this is a cakewalk, but, for the line, it's very good. Coming down here, looking at Nola, last year in 199 innings, he allowed a 246 average, which was really good. This year in 21 innings, he's already up to allowing a 300 average, which if pitchers start off slow, I don't mind it. We know Nola's a good pitcher. He's solid. He's going to be there, and his numbers are going to get better. However, he's only got 4 starts, so let's take a look at him. So he's had 2 weak teams, St. Louis, Washington, and then he faced the Dodgers, who were kind of so-so this year, and then the Giants. So in all of these innings, he's only reached the 6th inning 1 time. So the thing that should jump out there is that means you're going to get an extra inning in the bullpen, which is terrible. And then look at these hits allowed. Typically, Nola might give up 3 or 4 hits a game, 9, 5, 7, and 6. So I did a couple props of his alt hits allowed. And then his earned runs allowed, 6, 2, 3, and 5. Ooh, that's not good. Now, walks, he started off okay, 1 across 2 games, but he's been struggling in his last 2 games with 4 walks in each game. So 8 walks in his last 10.1 innings is not very good. So a couple of things are going on. Either he's just, getting ramped up, or he's losing a little bit of control. But either way, he's not dialed into the elite pitcher that we know, which is why I like the Mets here. McGill, I just need him to be average. So yes, he's given up a few more hits than I like, 5 across his first 2 games, and then 14 in his last 9 innings, which does worry me some. But his earned runs, he's done a really good job keeping runs from going across the plate. 2 runs, 0, 0, and 1. So that's pretty impressive. Now, he doesn't go deep into the game. 5 innings, 4 innings, 5.1, 5 innings. So he's not going to get you 6 solid innings. But we have a solid bullpen behind him, so I'm not worried about that. That bullpen can take over. If he gets into trouble and gives up a couple of runs, I'm perfectly fine with that. This is also a game where if Philly gets up, let's say 2-0, 3-0, and they're going to pull McGill out, but they're getting some hits on Nola, I would look at a live bet because you can usually get like plus 300 to plus 500 because we know if Nola, his pitch count starts getting high, he's giving up hits, this bullpen's going to come in. And I'm sure they've got some good pitchers in the bullpen, but the majority of the time they're going to get freaking slaughtered. So that's a good way to use the sheet and look at a live bet. So Padres and Mets are the 2 that I'm really looking at today. And then Atlanta, this 3.7, 4.8, that tells me it's going to be a higher line, so I'm probably going to have to go with a run line on something like this. But Atlanta's got a solid bullpen, 5-1, ERA of 3, xFIP of 4. St. Louis is 0-3, but pretty much has the same stats. So they've just been a little bit unlucky. The Mets just beat him 4 games straight. They took 2 of 3 from Houston, 2 of 3 from Philadelphia. But power ranking, they still rank 28th. And then just look across the board here. If you don't want to look at the WRC+, home runs, RBIs, and ISO power, just look at the rankings. 26th, 27th, 24th, 26th. They're struggling as a team. That's all you need to know. Then you flip over here and you look at Atlanta, 3rd in power ranking, even though they're not like killing it and putting up a ton of runs, 7th, 1st, 12th, 3rd ISO power. They are a much better hitting team. Atlanta is at home. So now we just want to look at the pitchers. Flipping down here, if you're a fantasy guy, like we said, we don't see a lot of red over here. ISO power, their top guy is 151. Their 2 hitters, 0.05. Not very good. We got a 102, 113. So not a scary lineup. And over the last 2 weeks, look at how many batters are below 175. The leadoff hitter, 175, 222, 211, 208, 105, 156. Not a scary lineup outside of Donovan. And then Donovan's not actually killing it. He's got 1 home run in 2 weeks. So he's not really going to hurt you as far as power. And then you come down here to Atlanta. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Atlanta this year, so I'm not familiar with them. Looks like Harris is struggling a little bit, but they're pretty decent in the mid part of the lineup. 283, 353, 346, 375. And then Austin Riley, you can see here, he's highlighted across the board. 4 home runs, 8 runs, 10 RBIs, 18 hits in the last 2 weeks. That's phenomenal. ISO power, we got solid guys all the way up and down the board. The 3 of the bottom 4 struggle. Brian De La Cruz, let's see him. So he probably just didn't have a ton of at-bats with a 38% strikeout rate. But top 5 good, and then we've got Drake Baldwin, whoever the hell that is, who's hitting 375, 6 of 16. That's decent. I would lean here, but the line's going to be high, so you might have to do a run line, which I don't mind. Schwellenbacher, or whatever this dude's name is, he started off elite. 6 and 8 innings, only 3 hits, no earned runs. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is his year. Last 2 starts, not as well. 5.2 in 6 innings, 13 hits. 1 run here, so you could chalk this up as a bad start. 6 innings, 6 runs, but he's not walking a lot of batters. He's had some good starts, so he's, I'm going to say, better than average pitcher. Fetty, oh my God, this guy I just can't figure out. Last year, 177 innings, had a 230 average. This year, 21 innings, has a 181 average, so you look at it and think, oh, this guy's pretty good. But look at his walks over the last 3 starts, 3, 4, 4. He's putting a ton of runners on base, and that is freaking scary. And then this game, a 6-inning no-hitter, no runs, but he did walk 4, and then it was against Pittsburgh, who Pittsburgh's not very good, so I'm not impressed there. He only had 3 innings against Boston, who's a good team, and he gave up 5 hits and 6 runs, so he got in trouble there. Minnesota, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. That was a fantastic start. And then he went up against Houston and gave up 6 hits in 6 innings, only 1 earned run. So not terrible, but I would lean Atlanta in this matchup. I just like them better as a team. And then, what was this other game? Milwaukee, San Francisco. I'll let you guys look at this. Ooh, look at that. Talk about a DFS lineup there. Anyways, let me flip back. The other game I was looking at, Toronto-Houston. I'm looking at a no-run first inning. I haven't made many of these bets this year, but this is one that does jump out to me. The reason is the power ranking is on the teams 18 and 22. They're putting up 3.8 and 2.8 runs per game over recent starts. I mean, look at this, 3, 4, 3, 3, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3. So they're not scoring a ton of runs. And then both of these pitchers, Gausman and Brown, they're solid pitchers, solid ERAs. Look at their whips, 0.71, 0.83. They don't put people on base. They don't walk hitters. Hits per innings pitched, 0.59, 0.63. You know, if you do these big alt wins for the money builders, I would do first inning under 1.5 runs and feel like that's almost a lock. Yeah, one of them may give up a home run, but giving up a hit and a home run is very unlikely. Gausman's last 2 starts, look at this. 6 hits, 2 runs. 4 hits, no runs, and that was through 8 innings. And then Brown, 4 hits, no runs in 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs in 6 innings. No run first inning looks like it would be pretty good in this spot. And then Hunter Brown in his last 3 starts, or in his last 4 starts, 0, 0, 2, 2 earned runs allowed, 6 innings in all of them. And here's a player prop for you. Hunter Brown is at 17.5 innings pitched, minus 205. I love it today. He is a solid 6 innings pitched. They're typically going to give him 6 innings exactly, pull him out of the game so it doesn't put too much strain on the bullpen. So that's one of my favorite plays today is Hunter Brown over 17.5 pitching outs. Gausman, he's a little bit all over the place. You know, he went 8 innings, 6, had 1 less than 6, but he's not giving up a ton of runs. 2, 0, 3, 2 across 6 innings, so maybe a half a run an inning. And he's not walking hardly anyone, so 0, 0, 2, 1, so no walks in the last 2 games. But yeah, I like that for a no-run first inning. And if you're looking at my bankroll builder and you're wondering how I came up with some of these walk plays, I was flipping through this Milwaukee-San Francisco game because both of these intrigued me. And you come down here and look at these freaking walks for Robbie Ray. 5, 4, 5. Like he had 1 to start the game, and what in the freak happened? So he's got 14 walks in his last 14 innings. So he's averaging a walk an inning. Is that right? 4, 4, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, a walk an inning. So 6 innings, 5 walks, 4 innings, 4 walks, 4 innings, 5 walks. And I think on my bankroll builder, I had him to have 1 walk. So that feels like a no-brainer. But you could do 2, 3, or 4 and get plus money and be fantastic, which I may play with down the road. And Priester, whatever the heck this guy's name is, he's played 2 weak teams, 5 innings in each game, 5 walks. So he averages a half a walk an inning, 2 walks in his first start in Colorado, which I don't really look at. But then he had 3 walks against Detroit. So I put him just to have 1 walk in my bankroll builder. So those are some of the plays that I do like. But as always, I'm working on some updates for the cheat sheet tomorrow. And hope you guys like the plays. Go make some money and have a good day.